Climate finance is one of the top priorities of the Asian Development Bank. Our finance correspondent Lee Rae-hyun spoke with the bank's special senior advisor on what to do to address the climate crisis for sustainable growth.
The impacts may come in different forms, but they're getting more extreme. Speaking about the climate crisis, ADB's special senior advisor Warren says developing countries will be the most severely affected by accelerating climate change. Rising sea levels and increasing tropical cyclones are affecting the Pacific Island nations, while the South Asian region, home to millions of farmers, is exposed to increased storms and flooding. Cities are no exception either, with their large populations of low-income households.
So all of these areas in Asia are highly vulnerable to climate impacts. And we don't have a choice from the ADB side but to focus on building resilience of those communities, those poor, vulnerable communities, to the impacts of climate change. And that's very much part of our focus.
Economic development is still a must for these countries. Evans says if development is not designed to be resilient to climate impacts, it will eventually fail, as social development and low-carbon resilience are inseparable. And that's what ADB is working for.
How can we change the way that we support those kind of projects so that at the same time we're reducing greenhouse gas emissions and increasing resilience to climate impacts? We need to do this through the development process, not separate from. And it's not an either-or. We have to do it.
And to do this, the expert says public sector finance should be used to mobilize private sector investments in climate actions.
So we need to work with governments using public sector resources to, for example, help them establish a regulatory regime that enables private sector to invest, to have the institutions in government that actually encourage and support private sector involvement in climate action.
And Evans added that ADB has benchmarked South Korea's experience as the country has been working on green development in recent years.
We've worked with South Korea to use your experience in the urban sector on energy efficient urban development, on green urban development, on transmission, on water, good water management. We've worked with Korea for a long time to use your experience to help developing countries learn from Korea.
He says some countries have made considerable progress in integrating low carbon into their transport and energy development process, though some questions remain about whether they can keep up with the growing impact of climate change. Lee Rae-hyun, Arirang News, Manila.